Hello again, it's Glenn Walford here and welcome to another episode of the Franchise Everything podcast where we talk about everything and anything in franchising. And today we're at the Pack and Send head office in Sydney and we're joined by another wonderful franchise owner, this time Rebecca O'Brien, who is a multi-site owner of Melbourne City, CBD, and also Laverton down there in Victoria as well. Welcome, Beck. How are you going?
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. So, you have a diverse career. So you've got two franchises in two locations, and they're actually a bit of a way apart, aren't they? Those locations. How far apart are they?
Oh, they're not too far apart. It's about 25, 30 minutes apart. So getting from the CBD out to the west sometimes can be a bit of a trick.
Yeah, it depends on the traffic. Because all the infrastructure's really caught up out that way. Freeways and everything, hasn't it? It's not like I was telling you the old days when you said Laverton and CBD, I thought, aren't they a really long way apart? I always thought Laverton was regional Victoria almost.
Yeah, and I think probably almost used to be 20 years ago, because it's that far out of the city. But there's a lot of roadworks going on there at the moment, which is
I know it well.
But hopefully for everyone in the west, it'll come along pretty quickly, and the highways will open back up, and you can actually get from the city to the west.
Yeah, really quickly. Yeah. So, you are, as I said in the intro there, you're a multi-site franchise owner with Pack and Send.
Yes.
But you've got a little bit of an interesting path to where you are right now.
Yeah.
So you were telling me, and this is you had one main career before Pack and Send.
Correct.
And that was like 14 years at Bunnings.
Yes.
So tell me about that. And you started working there when you were like 14 years old.
Yeah. So I started with them when I was 14 and worked my way up, and I loved it. And it was a great catalyst for the rest of my life, and instilling good work ethic and work values in me, and really great training.
I was going to say the training must be pretty good in an organisation like that.
Exactly. So very supportive, and I loved every minute of it and the people that I worked with, and thoroughly enjoyed the experience that I've got. I got to travel.
So what did you start with? So how did you start there? What was that like?
Yeah. So I started as a 14-year-old register operator at school, finished high school, started an education degree, and then my manager at the time, who recruited me back when I was 14, it was just at the Hardware House Bunnings transition.
Yeah, so they purchased
acquisition,
Hardware House?
Yeah, the acquisition. Yep. And he asked me to come and work with him full time, and said, "Don't worry, we'll look after you. We'll put you through uni." And
how good is that? Hey, put you through uni, pay for your uni degree.
Yeah. So, very supportive of me through my whole career. That's what brought me to. I'm originally from Brisbane. That's what brought me to Melbourne.
Okay.
Yeah, took a role in the head office down here, and
so did you start? So you were in Brisbane as a kid, so then you moved down from there. Okay, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, went up to Cairns for 2 years on contract first, and did a new store setup with Bunnings. Yeah, new store setups and some trainings, and up there.
That's fascinating. What's it like setting up a Bunnings new store? Because they are massive.
Fast.
Yeah,
it's fast. It's like clockwork. It's amazing. I
bet it's like, is it a cookie cutter type of thing? Is it? And everything happens the same, or is it?
Yeah,
or is it diverse depending on where the location is?
It's diverse because every site's different. There's obviously a plan and everything's structured, and all the suppliers are generally the same, and they go in and they do these fit outs, and they know how it goes and how it operates, and you watch all the racking go up, and then the racking goes up and the stock follows in, and it's like a little flow-on effect. And they do it in 4 weeks.
Wow.
It's an amazing thing to see.
What was the most challenging part about it, do you think? So what was your actual role when you were setting up those stores?
So I was part of the leadership team.
Yep.
So literally everything from, we were there before when it was a slab of concrete, everything from, liaising with the head office team at the point in time to making sure everything's ready for the store setup, recruitment, local area marketing within the community, and starting to get our name out there as part of the community. Obviously, recruitment is a huge process for a store like that. Even in Cairns, I think we had 1,200 applicants for 100 positions. So, it's a big process. It's a 3-step interview process as well.
That's a lot of interviews for you.
It's a lot of interviews. It's a 3-step interview process as well. So you have a phone, a group, and then a 2-on-1 interview process. So it's a big process to recruit.
Long days.
Long days.
Next.
But it's so fun, and it's so rewarding, and it's nothing like the accomplishment of setting up a new store.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
So were you there around the Masters time as well? In Masters was
Yeah,
happening?
we were there through Masters.
So I'm always interested, how did that impact your approach, or did you have start approaching anything differently to react to that competitor? Because you were the big dog in the neighbourhood and all of a sudden there was someone else knocking on the door.
Yeah.
What was the impact there internally?
I mean, I'm sure there would have been from a head office perspective a little bit of I remember being in a store at the time when it happened, but I don't think we were worried about it. Bunnings already had really they're really set up for the customer
and well established.
Well established, good name, very confident in the way we operated, our brand, and as it turns out, Masters ended up failing.
All I remember about Masters is, gee, this air conditioning is nice, isn't it? That's all I remember walking through this and, God, it's nice to be in air conditioning. And that's changed probably for the better now because of that.
Yeah. So, I think good on them for giving it a go at the end of the day. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a bit of healthy competition, but I think Bunnings was very well established by that point.
Very difficult to usurp in the market with that.
Yeah, and such a strong backing with Wesfarmers as well.
It's such a dominant brand. I thought that was a very big call to jump in there.
Yeah. Bunnings have recently actually done. Did you see they did the Hammer Barn, the Bluey?
No.
Yeah, they did. They.
So you got younger kids, so I didn't see that.
Yeah. Although my kids don't watch Bluey, but
I don't even get the Bluey thing at all. Like I think it's all this Bluey stuff.
Yeah. So they did these Hammer Barns. So in one of the episodes, they do a trip to Hammer Barn, which is basically Bunnings.
Yes. Yeah.
And so Bunnings had like Bluey characters in, and they covered up the Bunnings with a big sign that said Hammer Barn on it, and it was a big thing anyway. See,
it's
young
a big
kids.
thing for the kids in that age group. I can barely remember what else. I think a lazy town or something I think we were into. But okay, so Bunnings and everything there. So you were there for 14 years.
14 years.
What was the track? What was the track from there?
So the track from there is I made the decision to leave Bunnings because at this point I just felt like there was something else out there for me. I did do a bit of travel after that. So I left, I did a bit of travel, came back and met my partner. And then I was doing a bit of like work with a health food brand at the time. And
so did you finish your education degree?
Yeah. This is years and years and years later.
Yeah.
And then so we and then he had a restaurant in Geelong. He wasn't doing very well. He was in St Kilda. The restaurant was in Geelong. It was quite a way away.
That would be very difficult.
So I finished my contract with the health food company and I said, well, before I go find something else, let me help you with the restaurant. I'll go down, fix it. So I went down to Geelong, commuted down there daily for about just over a year and fixed the restaurant, sold it.
Yes. So that was where you met your partner, is that right?
In St Kilda. We were both living in St Kilda at the time.
Right.
So that's where I met him.
Yeah.
And he was still in the restaurant. I actually met him at the restaurant in St Kilda. I used to walk past the coffee window in the morning when I was before work, walking my dog and get a coffee at the coffee window.
Yes.
Okay. And that's how we met. And then I would go and have breakfast there on a Saturday morning.
It's a romantic story.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Not in a club in St Kilda or a bar. It was actually at the coffee window. So cute. And so we went and so then we'd known each other for a bit because I was a customer there. So and I said, so when we started dating, it sort of progressed reasonably quickly because we'd known each other for quite a while. And then, so I went down, fixed the restaurant.
So what sort of consulting were you doing at that stage? Was it just on retail? Retail, that you learned from Bunnings?
Like merchandising, more around stock and ranges and helping them
menu and things like that.
Modify their ranges. What were they selling? Did they have 6 of the same product? What were their sales out of those products? Did they need to have 6 types of gluten-free flour?
Yep.
Do you know what Yes. So it was more of looking at the ranges. What was what were their sales like within those ranges? What were the margins
much deeper
on
analysis
it?
than a small business owner would be doing.
Yeah. So I did a bit of that. And then I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So it kind of felt like going to the restaurant was And doing that was kind of a bit of a break.
Was it a holding pattern sort of thing for a while?
I'd worked so hard from such a young age. To me, it kind of felt like a career break.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I went down, and then it was great fun too. You know, I used to run functions. We had a beautiful bar. I used to run functions out of it. Beautiful country people down in Geelong, and it was a lot of fun. And then so we sold it, and then I went back to St Kilda, and I thought, what am I going to do now? So that's when my partner suggested, well, come help me in the restaurant.
So you got the restaurant in St Kilda?
Restaurant in St Kilda still. So I said, sure, I'll help you here until I find something, what I want to do next. And then anyway, so I ended up working with him for the next 5 years. And and then we ended up having children, and so stayed home with the children for the last 3.5 years, and then looking at getting back into the workforce.
Yes.
I did a bit of volunteer work with Sacred Heart Mission as well, which is also in St Kilda.
Yeah.
And we started to think about our lifestyle. This is post-COVID now, our lifestyle, how hard COVID was in the restaurants.
Certainly in Victoria and Melbourne.
Victoria,
much harder.
Yeah, and trying to build a life outside of hospitality. And
so the ups and downs and the sort of inflexibility of hospitality and
the long days,
really
the long nights, the
Yeah.
weekends, all those times that you want to spend time with your family and you can't because you're tied up. Working all the public holidays, working, Christmas and Easter, and not being able to enjoy that time. So when I was looking for a business, I was just looking for a business that wasn't hospitality anywhere in Victoria, metro, regional.
You had basically no requirements. You're just like anything but hospitality.
Anything but hospitality.
Wow. It's a very open. You'd be a business broker's nightmare. What do you want? I'm not sure. Anything other than hospitality.
Yeah. So anything but, and there's lots of hospitality businesses for sale at that point in time, just after COVID
Everyone
in Victoria.
exiting.
Lots and lots and lots. So the only hospitality business that I was considering actually, which was on the cards, was management rights, and looking at doing management rights, which is hotels or residential management
still a bit
rights.
of a draw on your personal time.
It is, and
or the potential,
to draw, and a lot of after hours stuff as well, which is why we steered away from it. I'd done a bit of logistics, I guess, with Bunnings, not directly but indirectly.
I can imagine you would be with stuff arriving for new stores and all sorts of stuff. You would have touched that sort of logistic arm of it.
Yeah, and even just customer orders and the things like that. That's all logistics as well.
So you're at home with the kids for a couple of years, probably, did you say?
Yes.
So you got 3 kids, a couple of twins. They're very close together, you're saying?
Yeah, nearly 5-year-old twins and a 6.5-year-old.
Okay,
so
very close.
So, very close.
What a crazy house.
Crazy house.
What a
all
busy
girls.
House. All girls,
all
they?
girls.
Wow, okay.
So
but different if it was all boys.
I wouldn't be here if it was all boys. I'd be mental.
Yeah, we've got all boys. We've got all boys.
I would have gone mad. So then that's where I started the process with Pack and Send.
Yep.
I thought.
So how did you find them? So if you had that, because it can be very hard. I talk to a lot of people who are thinking of investing, like at franchise expos and stuff, and they say, and I ask them, what are you looking for? And they say, I'm not really sure. So you had, I'm not sure, anything other than hospitality. How did you narrow that down?
Well, it's really funny. And when you look on Seek Business, you can actually untick franchise.
Why would you want to do that?
Well, because I didn't know anything about franchising before. I'd never thought of a franchise. The only franchises I'd ever really thought of were the Coffee Club or Gloria Jeans
the big brands, sort of, or McDonald's or something like that. Yeah,
exactly. So, and I didn't want hospitality, so I kind of unticked franchise.
Yep.
Initially, and then I was looking for quite a while as well. I thought even, an industry-based business that we could learn, something hands-on would have been fine. And then just one day in my search, I forgot to untick. I left franchising. And that's when Pack and Send came up. And that's when I started to explore it because coming from Brisbane into Melbourne, I didn't really know what Pack and Send was. I'd never had the need for it. I'd never really used it. I'd heard the name but didn't know anything about them. at that point in time. So did a lot of due diligence. I researched, I read the website. I walked past a local store that wasn't far from my house and had a look, and just did a lot of background reading about logistics and the logistics industry in Australia, what they think the growth will be over the next 10 years in logistics, and a broader research as far as the logistics industry go, rather than just pack and send.
Yes.
I researched Australian logistics, types of logistics, other companies, to kind of understand what the competition would be. And that's at that point is when I reached out.
So at that time, at that moment, we'll pause it there for a sec. What was your impression of what a franchise was and what a franchise would do for you? Did you know anything about franchises at that stage?
So at that stage, I knew what a franchise was. I understood the concept of a franchise, but I didn't really think about a national buying power, or I didn't really think in depth about what a franchise was. I knew what a franchise was, and that you paid royalties.
You knew macro terms or honors, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but not. I didn't delve deep into franchising at that point. And to me, I know I joined a franchise, but I don't just look at it like a franchise. I look at it like a network.
Yep. And
really, that's what it is. So a lot of other franchises, if you think about your Glory Jeans or your McDonald's or your Domino's or anything like that, even your printing companies that are all franchised, a lot of them don't really use each other. They kind of, they have their territory and they operate within their territory. And whereas we have a network and we use that network and can use that network.
You actually can, I think we were talking with Kate earlier today, you can actually be customers of each other.
Yeah. And not only just customers of each other, just the flexibility of having a national brand and being able to send stuff. They're essentially depots, right? People will call us depots. Our customers will call us a depot, right? Because they'll come into me and like, oh, can we pick this up from your depot in Sydney? And sure, whereabouts in Sydney? And we can send it to a store. You know, a customer's not walking into a coffee shop and going, no, can I pay you for this coffee, but I'm going to pick it up in Sydney.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. Is that for the foodies, there's no real reason for them to be in connection that much because they're just doing their thing in their location.
Yeah. And granted, you know, I don't know a lot about other non-hospitality franchise businesses. They could use each other. I'm not sure whether the printing companies or anything like that use each other, but we do have the benefit of having a very strong network.
And why do you like that so much? So why is that important to you?
It's important to me because even though we work essentially for ourselves, I'm a very big team player. That was ingrained with me in Bunnings.
I bet, yeah.
And we spoke a bit about having a military background and having those core people around you and the teammates. And that's very important to me and who I am as a person and my values and my morals.
Yeah.
So it was I enjoy that camaraderie and I enjoy having those connections and links with people and not just feeling like I'm working alone. Yeah,
and that's I think it's a great thing about being part of a franchise. You are in business by yourself, but you're not by yourself. You know, you are with a team and you're leveraging off that and working with each other.
Correct, and I enjoy really the corporate environment. Like I enjoyed being in the corporate environment at Bunnings, and you know, you can't access, you know, if as an independent business owner, and some of them do, but you've got to be quite and probably a medium-sized business to have established training platforms and to have established networks. I mean, as a business owner coming into an industry like freight and logistics, the amount of money you would have to outlay to get the networks, to get the systems, to get the leads. You couldn't buy that as a small business owner
deliver the service solutions you need to provide.
Unless you had the base already.
Yeah, which is what you
the
bought
franchise
into basically.
Yeah.
So with So, okay, so you ended up choosing it. So what was the process like of inquiring and doing, what was your initial, did you speak to a lot of franchise owners as well? I know you had a look at a couple of them. You said you sort of watched them in action.
Yeah.
Did you speak to existing owners?
Yeah, I went out to 2 other stores in
Mhm.
Victoria and had a chat to them.
Mm.
I am now one of those stores that they come and visit, which is
Oh, yeah.
nice. Yeah, to give them,
To ask you what it's like.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. And I'm very honest. I give them good insight. I let them look at my systems, and just so they have full understanding of the business.
Mhm.
So I spoke to a few, but I very much did my due diligence myself, and it was important. I knew that MBE had bought Pack and Send
Yep.
by
MB
this point.
International. Yeah.
Yeah, MBE International had bought Pack and Send,
Mhm.
and I also understand from coming from quite a large brand
Mm.
previously that there would be lots of changes and potentially lots of growth in the next 10 years.
Yes.
I'd known from my research that the freight and logistics industry would, grow over the next 10 years, and having such a large international brand on board in that time would obviously be a benefit.
So you've done your research, you've looked into locations and met franchise owners. When was the decision and what was that like to proceed? What happened then?
Yeah. So speaking to the team here at THQ, when I decided, yes, Pack and Send was for me, and I'd rung them and they said, oh, look, these are the territories available at the moment. And Laverton was one of them, and there was 2 others. And at first I said, because we were in the southeast suburbs of Melbourne, I said, oh, no, none of those really suit. And it took me 20 minutes, and I thought, actually, Laverton, the West is booming, heavy industrial.
Yep.
Laverton is the way to go. 20 minutes, I rung back and I said, actually, I'll take Laverton.
That would have been a surprise person on the other phone thinking, what?
Indecisive.
She just said no.
Yeah, she just said no 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And so they would have been pretty happy to get that call. I said,
No
I'll
doubt.
take Laverton.
No doubt. They're always great calls.
Yeah. And from that process, it was super quick. I jumped on the real estate websites. I found a site, went out there, video called the onboarding team here, and they said, great site. First site I looked at, I said, this is the site. And signed the lease. And basically from saying yes to set up was just a couple of months.
Wow, it's pretty quick.
Very quick. And it's a logistics site as well. So it's a warehouse.
Yes.
300 square metre warehouse.
I keep reference because people won't know if they're listening to this maybe. So you've got a retail type Pack and Send stores, but also ones with retail component and a warehouse for logistics as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
So
that was a new site, brand new and everything, wasn't it? Which we call Greenfield.
Greenfield site, yeah, brand new site. It's doing great. It was really a good decision. We're, 2 years in since signing on the dotted line, and no regrets at this point.
Excellent.
So, it's 3 to 5.
This point, are you expecting some?
No,
expecting some regrets?
No, hopefully none. Hopefully none. I advertised for one position and got 280 applicants.
Wow.
So
I thought it was impossible to get people.
Oh no, 280 applicants for one
it's because
position.
You're in hospitality.
Yeah, no, good ad.
Yeah.
So we're growing, and it's in a really high growth area. The Western Corridor and through Melbourne is booming.
Great.
So it is a good decision.
So do you go to Laverton every day? Is that what you're doing?
No, I go to the city every day.
Okay.
And
that's before you had that. Were you driving to Laverton every day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we were going to Laverton every day.
Nice.
And my partner, he works in Laverton through the day, and then the restaurant at nights and weekends. So we've still got the restaurant at the moment.
Yes. So
hopefully by the end of this year, we'll be able to hand that off.
Offload that. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we still. But 6 months into it, we bought Mackenzie Street, which is CBD based, which is a 90 square metre shopfront.
Okay,
retail
so
shopfront.
Just a retail shopfront?
Just a retail shopfront.
So how did that come about? What was the process of getting that and your thoughts around that? Were you thinking of getting a second one at that time, or?
So we were contemplating. We knew we wanted a retail site to work hand in hand with the logistics site, because the logistics site can do stuff that the retail site can't, and the retail site can do stuff that the logistics side it's harder for them.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted one of each. The opportunity came up much faster than what we thought it
What
was.
you expected, yeah.
And I guess having a bit of business acumen behind me, and I got the P&L reports and just said yes.
So how quick did that process take for you to think that this was a good opportunity?
Like 24 hours.
Yeah. Again.
I literally got sent through the data pack and read it that night, and the next day I rung and made it. Yeah.
Spoke to another happy person.
Spoke to another happy person.
And
made someone else's day.
No doubt. That was an existing business owner. It was an existing running business.
Yeah, existing.
And you just saw opportunity to improve it?
Yeah. So it was originally Pack and Send owned site.
Mm-hmm.
They'd opened it 5 years prior.
Yep.
And then it was bought by another gentleman.
Yep.
And after 18 months,
yep.
18 months, 2 years, he decided to sell.
Yep.
And I just got very lucky.
Excellent.
Yeah. So
so when do you spend most of your time? Do you spend most of your time
in Mackenzie Street? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
So I spend most of my time in Mackenzie Street. So it's a slightly higher volume than Laverton.
Yep.
But it's obviously a very well established store as well.
So what's your day-to-day like? What's your day look like?
So my days are long.
With twins as well and all that sort of stuff there?
My days are long, but they're beautiful.
Yeah.
I've got a really great team. I have made the decision to put a big team around me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a mother of a very young family with 3 businesses, 3 dogs, 3 kids.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have put a team around me, and yes, it means I don't make as much out of my business as what some franchise partners might make, or someone that could be there open till close. Yes. I don't do any opens and I don't do any closes.
But that's good to hear you say that. It's a deliberate decision you've made for your thing. So and that's totally fine, isn't it? If that's a deliberate decision you're making as part of your lifestyle strategy, then that's fine.
Correct. Yeah. And you know what? It's a long-term goal, right? So I've put a good team around me. If you recruit people, you need to give them hours. They need to live as well.
Yep, of course.
Right? So if I'm there open till close,
it's less hours for
everyone else.
Yeah.
It also, eventually I want to build my business to a point where I am running a company. I'm not running a store.
A location, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to be able to run the company. I want to be able to focus on the strategy and my team and the overall picture of the business, as opposed to the day-to-day operations of the business. I'm trying to step away from that as much as possible, because that goes hand in hand with the lifestyle, right?
So what do you see in your time in the businesses now? What do you see as the secrets to success within a Pack and Send from your perspective?
I'm not 2 years in yet operationally, right?
It's enough. You'd know a lot by now.
Yeah. So secret to success with Pack and Send is don't say no to anything.
Mm-hmm.
You actually can do everything. The amount of work that I've picked up from other businesses that have said no is
these
just
are little jobs,
phenomenal. Big jobs, little jobs, too hard basket, international consignments, even other stores that have said no. Don't say no to anything. Give everything a go. I'm very much the sort of person that if I don't know how to do it, I will find a way to do it. 12 months into the business, I actually won a job moving 2 World War II military tanks over to France. And
literally tanks.
Tanks, 38-ton Lee Grant tank and 27-ton Staghound military tank. It was the largest private military collection in Australia, and it was bought by a museum over in France.
Wow.
And so we're just actually going through the final process at the moment, because there was lots of permits. There's still some licensed weaponry as well.
Yep.
So rifles and all World War II rifles and artillery pieces. And
it's fascinating to see it all.
Yeah.
And quite a packing job too.
Yeah. Yeah. So cannons and it's amazing. It's beautiful. And so I think.
And you picked that up because someone said no, or is that right?
I picked that up because I just built a relationship with this client very early in the piece. And they said, "Can you do it?" And I said, "Sure." I had no idea if I could do it or not, but I said, "Sure, I can do it." And, I applied for the export permits, the defence export permits myself. I just taught myself to do everything. I rung the right people. I engaged marine surveyors who have assisted me, and they've given me contacts in with the shipping companies. And it's just, you ask the right people the right questions, and people are more than willing to help.
More willing to help.
Yeah. Especially if you just be honest with them. Don't pretend you know everything. It's okay to ask questions. And I think sometimes we forget that in life. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay not to know everything.
Totally.
Yeah. So, and then that's also how you build connections.
Well, you've got connections in that space entirely now.
Yeah, exactly. So, and hopefully with that, now my experience with that and moving big items that are out of gauge, I'm hoping to pick up a company that imports mining equipment like diggers and trucks from China.
Yep.
So they bring them to China. They get to the port. From the port, this company is struggling with a solution to get them off the port and to their customers in Australia and New Zealand. So now all these 30-ton mining trucks can
be sorted by a little pack and send store in CBD Melbourne.
Yeah, hopefully. So that's the goal. Yep. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say this yet, so you can just cut it out if I'm
we can't cut it out. Whatever you say is in it. Whatever you say is in.
Okay, so hoping to take on my third store.
Okay, all right.
In the
we just if it doesn't, we just won't tell anyone.
In the very near future. I just won't say where it is yet.
Okay, no, don't say where it is. Okay.
Yeah.
It might sabotage the deal.
Yeah.
All right, what a great way to finish.
Yeah.
Right, Beck. Thanks so much for joining us on the podcast today. Really appreciate you coming on. Thanks very much. And that's it for another edition of the Franchise Everything podcast. If you like and enjoy this, you want to see more, please like, share, subscribe, do all that sort of stuff. It really helps and supports us. And we'll catch you again in the next one soon.